Plastic. It is one of the most commonly used materials in the world. Countless products are formed from one of the many types of plastic that exist, including plastic bottles, CDs, food packaging, toothbrushes, computers, and car parts, just to name a few. As author Derrick Jensen writes in his book, What We Leave Behind, by now plastic is almost everywhere. All one has to do is look around a grocery store, department store, or even one's own house to see the numerous consumer products that are made from plastic. There is much debate over the benefits of plastic when compared to any drawbacks. However, plastics industry argues that plastic has benefited our society in a number of ways, specifically in the realm of aeronautics, the building and construction industry, electronics, packaging, and transportation. Because plastic is durable, lightweight, and heat resistant, it is a good candidate for use in aerospace technology, pipes and valves in homes and buildings, home wiring, and small appliances. In fact, if appliances such as microwave ovens, coffee makers, irons, and hair dryers were not made with plastic, their lifetime would be cut in half, and they would use 25 to 30% more energy. Perhaps plastic's role in packaging demonstrates its versatility best of all. Depending upon the product which it is protecting, it has the adaptability to be rigid and tough on the one hand, while being able to be flexible and easy to carry on the other. It can come in any shape, size, or even color. With advances in its makeup, it can now even be shatterproof, leak-proof, and child-resistant. Plastic's versatility, along with its durability, resistance to corrosion, and lightweight, lends itself nicely to the transportation industry. It can be found in everything from fenders and bumpers to trunk lids, doors, hoods, and wheel covers. Plastics industry states that the average passenger car has lost 145 pounds since 1988, which leads to better fuel efficiency, saving approximately 21 million barrels of oil. While it is easy to see the result of the production of plastic, have you ever considered what actually goes into making these plastic products? The answer to this question is not simple and depends upon the type of plastic that is being examined. However, some of the more commonly talked about chemicals include phthalates, polybrominated diphenyl ethers, and polyvinyl chloride, simply referred to as PVC. One of the most recent chemicals to be examined for its health consequences to humans has been bisphenol A, or BPA. BPA is an industrial chemical that has been used for more than 40 years, primarily in epoxy resins and polycarbonate plastic. Produced at a rate of approximately 6 billion pounds per year, BPA can be found in water bottles, baby bottles, sports equipment, medical and dental devices, and dental fillings, among other things. It is also often used in the lining of metal food and beverage cans. In the past few years, there has been much debate over the safety of using products that contain amounts of BPA within them, and for good reason, seeing that a 2008 Time magazine report say that 92% of Americans aged 6 and older test positive for BPA. In fact, according to a 2007 report by the National Toxicology Program, the average adult consumes an estimated 0.008 to 1.5 micrograms per kilogram of body weight of BPA daily. The FDA and other industries argue that there are relatively no risks associated with the levels of BPA that humans come in contact with. However, some studies are showing that this may not in fact be the case. After all, if there is no concern over the risks associated with BPA, why would companies such as Nalgene, a company famous for its water bottles, develop new BPA-free products? And stores such as REI, which sell such products, remove all products which contain BPA from their shelves, as they did in 2008. The current United States EPA safe exposure limit for BPA is 50 micrograms. However, there are already severe consequences that can occur as a result of this amount of exposure. A 2009 study on rats showed that 50 micrograms per kilogram of body weight of BPA exposure disrupts ovarian development, and a 2008 study showed that adverse neurological effects occur in non-human primates. Even at an exposure level of 0.025 micrograms per kilogram of body weight, studies on rats have shown permanent changes to the genital tract along with changes in breast tissue that predispose cells to hormones and carcinogens. Keep in mind that this level of exposure is already above that which some American adults are coming in contact with daily. Pregnant women may have even more to be concerned about. In 2000, scientists in Tokyo discovered that in rats, the placenta does not act as a barrier to BPA. Researchers administered 1 gram per kilogram of 25% body weight to a pregnant rat. In only 20 minutes, the BPA attained maximum concentrations in the maternal blood, liver, and kidneys, as well as reached the maximum concentration inside the fetus. Further research with rats in 2006 showed some of the consequences that can arise as a result of prenatal exposure to BPA. The results of these studies showed that prenatal exposure to BPA causes long-lasting changes in female rat breast tissue that makes the tissue more sensitive to estrogen at puberty and more susceptible to cancer-causing chemicals as adults. In other words, pre-birth exposure to BPA increases the risk of breast cancer later in life. Perhaps this has something to do with breast cancer being the most common form of cancer among women today. The obesity epidemic in the United States is becoming a major concern for many people. Over the past 20 years, there has been a dramatic increase in obesity rates across the U.S., and in 2008, Colorado was the only state to have an obesity rate of less than 20%. Could this too be caused by an exposure to BPA? Some recent studies are suggesting that in fact it could be. Laboratory testing on mice has shown that offspring of mice who were exposed to BPA were 15% heavier than those who were never exposed. The study found that exposure to BPA can increase the production of fat cells and exposure to the chemical prior to and just after birth, and can leave a long-lasting influence on body weight regulation. BPA has also now been shown to cause insulin resistance at the cell level, which can lead to type 2 diabetes. As author Derrick Jensen writes, is there a correlation between the rise of plastic and the 735% increase in diabetes in the United States since 1935? The effects of BPA exposure do not stop at humans. Plastic is everywhere in the oceans. Jensen writes that ocean garbage patches combine to cover 40% of all oceans, or 25% of the entire planet. As a result, the animals living in these oceans must deal with our plastic as well, and this can have serious consequences. BPA is a chemical known as endocrine disruptor, meaning that it can disrupt the endocrine system, the set of hormones and glands that affect organs and cells, and mimic female estrogen. As a result, male fish with female reproductive organs are beginning to be discovered. This was the case in Japan, where male Japanese killifish were found to have increased levels of a protein typically found in females during breeding season, as well as the appearance of ovary cells in part of the fish's testes. Despite all these studies, the FDA and other industries still insist that there is no risk associated with low-level exposure to BPA, and because of this, no official nationwide ban has been placed on products containing BPA. And perhaps they are right, but then you have authors like Derrick Jensen who will argue that this culture is killing the planet. And the question then becomes, who are you going to believe, and what is the solution? It's something to consider the next time you go to give Junior his bottle.